Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Allahumma salli ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Allahumma salli salatan kamilatan salamatan al-Qur'an wa tanfarij bihil Qur'an wa wa وعلى آله وصحبه في كل لمحة ونفس. Thank you very much, Zahid and Professor, my professor when I was studying here. And thank you very much to everybody for spending the first day of your weekend with us here. A special thank you to Dr. Zahid from the UIA for letting us use this beautiful conference hall. I normally have PowerPoint slides. I know university students love PowerPoint slides, but I usually teach 9 to 5. So I know about 30 to 40 PowerPoint slides, but for half an hour, bringing it down to 10, I'm not very good at that. So, if you don't mind, let me talk from my book, Form of the Sea, the Case of Islamic Monetary System. So, it's basically based on the thesis which I did for UIA 2012. Yeah. I could have written a 300-page book, but I thought not many people. Of course, the university people will read, but the public will not read. So I decided to maintain the PowerPoint and give you a bibliography for those who are interested and follow the case. So the best thing now is that we need, to come and say, movement for monetary justice is basically about trying to change the monetary system. And it is actually the biggest jihad at the moment. If we really understand the issues at hand, we will understand that the monetary system is where the fight has to be, because that is where we have lost for centuries and centuries and centuries. And we are here today. Many of us are here today without understanding what happened to us. When we don't understand what happened to us, it is very difficult to solve the problem. So our mission, inshallah, is to bring the fight to the public and to get your assistance, because it has to be a people's movement. It will not be a government movement. It will be a government movement when the people want it, when they translate to vote for them. The bankers will never do it, because to them it's a choice of an easy way to make money and a tougher way to make money. They will never adopt the system that we want to adopt. So, as Professor Kamil says, today we're going to focus on the problem. But before that, let us touch a little bit on the issues so that we understand why we have formed this movement. Now, the problems will be on that slide, but as requested by Professor, I will mention to you the objective of the movement for monetary justice. The first objective is to establish an Islamic monetary system. We do not shy away from mentioning the word Islamic, because that is the reason we exist. To educate society on the flaws of the current monetary and banking system. Prof. Kamil said the housewife now start buying 1 fish, 2 fish. Instead of during our time, it was like catty. I'm revealing my age. We used to buy fishes in catty, not kilo. Today, they buy 1 fish, 2 fish. So the suffering is by the silent majority. They are suffering because of the system, and what is set up is that nobody really understands how the system is putting this, all this suffering on the people. And we also have a third objective, which is to encourage society to lead a debt-free lifestyle. That would be the portfolio of our beloved Professor Zahid. Because you need to weaken the enemy forces before we can change them. One of the ways to weaken them is to remind the Ummah not to take too much debt. Although today we see unseeming efforts by some banks asking people to take on more debt. We need to fight that. We need to bring down the level of debt in society. We need to educate society on Islamic muamalah. Muamalah is not what you see today, not necessarily just what you see today. There's a lot more to it. And fifthly, to establish alternative Islamic financing institutions. If you look in your kitab, there's no such thing as a bank in our tradition, our history. A bank is a new phenomenon that came from the word banco, as you all probably know. In Venice, the Christian merchants wanted to practice the profitable business of money lending, but they dare not do it because the church is keeping an eye on them. So what they did was they brought the Jews to Venice, and the Jews sit on the carpet and they work on the low bench called banco. And from there, ladies and gentlemen, we get the word bank. Some people say that the Malays were also involved because we call banks banku. But that's not true. We were not involved. The Malays were very good at stealing words, especially on the Portuguese in this bank. Alright, before I begin, let me just mention the name of the committee, also to mention to you the names of the committee you might want to volunteer to assist in the committee. Chairman is, of course, Professor Kamil. I'm the deputy chairman. Our secretary is Saqib Sheikh. Raise your hand. And Justin Lahari. Treasurer Dr. Abdul Malak and Helmi. Secretary Sharia, Ustad Asman. Aides of committee, Debt-Free Lifestyle, Professor Dr. Muhammad Nazari. Research and Education, Dr. Ahmad Razman, Putra, it's the school. I'm also in charge of the monetary system model. Research on creating the Islamic monetary model. Alternative housing, Dr. Kamil. Sharia advisory, we have Ustad from Singapore, Ustad Nur Durus, who will be talking about fiat money today, and of course assisting him with Ustad Asman. Youth outreach, Ahmad Zulhimi. Market development, CD, Omar Asman. So the point for me mentioning this is, please, if you wish to be a member of this committee, just write to us. We'll be more than happy to work with you. Yeah? Okay, so let me very quickly go to my part of the talk. As I said, I don't have a PowerPoint, but I will talk from the website of Open for Monetary Justice. Some of you may have been there. It's not very much yet, we're still building, because we want only original articles in there. Now, I just came back from giving a talk to university students in UNITA, in the International Bandar. And many of them were surprised about the first point that I will mention here. I don't know whether it is still a surprise to you, but let me just mention that when we talk about money, it is not just your paper notes and coins. Your paper notes and coins actually form only 3% of the total money supply. That's something you've heard before? Yes, I think most from the universities will have heard before, but for some, this is probably the first time you hear such a statement. When you ask people about money, I gave a lot of talks when I asked them, how many percent of the total money supply of these paper notes and coins? You'll be surprised. The belief is that this is the only form of money that we have. That's the first belief. The second belief is that it is backed by gold. I'm sure university people would know better, but let me just stress this. In any country in the world, is only 3% of your total budget. So the next question that you should be asking will be, what is 97%? I'm not going to go there yet. Let us just go through questions there. Right. It is that 97% which actually steals purchasing power from the Ummah. Now, every time there is an increase in prices, most of us somehow survive. But those at the rock bottom level, every ringgit counts. You've heard the story in the Facebook about the Pakcik who rode this old motorbike with a huge shopping mall in Johor Bahru. He's never been inside because he never had enough money to buy anything inside. But he went there on that particular day because he found out that in the supermarket, in that shopping mall, they were still selling cooking oil at the gold prices. The increase in cooking oil recently was about, I think, between 7 to 10 ringgit. For you and me, it may not be much, but for the poor family, it could mean missing 1 or 2 meals. So that is how this affects us. A couple of months ago, I, together with my alumni, maybe some of you here, the College All Boys Association, we conducted feed the homeless in Jalan Sultan Abdul Rahman. We were not very experienced in that. We came up with the famous NGI, One IT Ismail. And our soup kitchen was actually placed in the Masjid Negara. And we were surprised to find that. When I say homeless, I'm sure in your mind, what comes to mind is somebody very dirty, raggedy, rickety clothes, have not taken a shower for ages and ages. Our soup kitchen was young people, quite decently dressed, very decently dressed. Who are they? They are the new phenomenon in our city today, the working class. So if you are proud of the economic growth of the country, do come down to earth and look at these people occasionally. These are young people with salaries of 700 ringgit, 1,000 ringgit, 1,200 ringgit. Do you know what's the cost of the cheapest room to rent in Changi? I will tell you. The cheapest room you can rent in Changi today is 500 ringgit. So if your salary is 700, 1,000, 1,200, you are not going to spend that much money. Come. They sleep in the compound of Masjid Negara. They pay that. At the weekends, most probably they go back to their parents' house. But that's how they live. So this is basically the result of the monetary system that we are practicing today. And a few more examples, let me tell you. There are some university students, hopefully not UIA, who eat only at 3 o'clock every day. Have you heard of this group? These are university students, they eat only at 3 o'clock. Why is that? It's not a new cult. They eat only at 3 o'clock because that is the only meal they can afford. And if you are to go to some stalls outside Kuala Lumpur, you'll find stalls that sell rice with only kepala ikan kembung goreng. How shall I say that in English? Fish heads fried. So, whoever is running the country, they need to understand. They need to understand the suffering. And not many people understand the source, the problem. We have a very brave young politician who's now going into jail. He's also from my alumni, Prof. Nazari and Ajit Ghazali. Fine, he talked about GST. I wish he would talk about the monetary system. Because the GST, as I mentioned to my audiences most of the time, is just an additional tax of demand. The increase in prices will happen with or without GST because it is the system that we practice today. Penambahan ujian iman. It certainly increased the prices, but the price would have increased anyway. When we talk about the working homeless, at least they have a job. Now what about how many unemployed graduates do you think there are in Malaysia today? This is the part which I always hold back when I speak to university students, because I don't want to take the spirit out of you. In Malaysia today, if you include the diploma holders, there is close to 500,000 unemployed graduates. And it's not just Malaysia. I'm not talking politics here. In Indonesia, there's about 1.2 million unemployed graduates. In France, there is millions of unemployed youth. There are unemployed graduates, unemployed youth in every country in the world. So if people were to tell you that the unemployed graduates in Malaysia is because their English is not very good, ask them about the unemployed graduates in Africa and France. Is it because their English is not good also? It has nothing to do with the command. It has everything to do with the system that we are practicing. Now this is a fact not many is aware of, and today let me disclose it to you, and I will be so glad some of you will take it up as a thesis subject to support with figures, facts and figures. I was a banker myself. But the statement I'm going to make is that the unemployed graduates, that's not from Malaysia, the unemployed graduates in Malaysia has a direct relationship to the banking system. The bankers has abused the trust that we have given them. We gave them the trust to collect deposits in the country so that they can use the deposit to give it to the companies so that the companies can generate economic growth and unemployment. Sorry, economic growth and employment. Now, a statistic which the whole world knows, Jabatan Statistik Malaysia did the study in 2005, and it's not updated yet, but this statistic is true for every country. Look. 80% of jobs, on average, in any country in the world is delivered to you by the SME sector. Don't take my word for it. You can confirm it with your research. The big corporations only provide 20% of unemployment. Now, these institutions that you have given the mandate to collect deposits in the nation, to whom do they give financing to? I can tell you, I'm a former banker, and I'm sure there's a few other former bankers. The banks will only give financing to the large corporates. Their financing is meant only for the large corporate, the sector that delivers 20% of jobs. They will give it to the telecoms, the Petronas, the Shell, the Mobil. And when they carry the money to them, and the big company said, look, we have too much money, we don't want it. Can you please take it back? When they take it back, do they give it to the SME? When they take back the money, the big corporation don't want to give it to personal loans and credit cards. So, the institution that we gave the mandate to collect deposits give their funds only to big corporates, personal loans, credit cards. The sector that delivers 80% of the jobs in Malaysia is ignored. Why? Why is it ignored? Because they will mention to you that four-letter word. Can somebody tell me what that four-letter word is? R-I-S-K. Okay. Now, I don't know what the correct description is, but 300 years of the people who specialize in riba-based lending have drummed into our heads that R-I-S-K is a four-letter word. In fact, if you to mention risk to a banker, he will run out of the room as if it is a contagious disease. This is the miseducation that have been taught us for the last 300 years. In Islamic mu'amalat, there is a kaidah fiqhiyah or legal maxim called al-ghunum bi al-ghurub. There's no whiteboard here. What it is. What does it mean? Rewards come with risk. I need to look at the camera. The last time I was here, I didn't understand the camera. I was always out of screen. In Islamic mu'amalat, you are not entitled to a reward unless you are willing to accept risk. What that means is any transaction where there is no risk, it is not an Islamic transaction that you should not be involved in. In order for you to determine whether a transaction is Sharia compliant or not, there must be a risk inside the transaction. If there is zero risk, it means it has been managed in a riba way. We have so many Sharia advisors today in the banks. We're going to tell you a different story. We're going to tell you that debt is not something good. Muslim businessmen must ensure there is risk in that transaction, only then is Sharia compliant. What does it mean? Does Zahid say accept the risk? Yes. accept the business risk. You must be able to differentiate between credit risk and business risk. It's about time we differentiate the two. We must not lump it together and call it risk. And hate the word like it's a contagious disease. What the bankers are doing now, Islamic or not, they're collecting all the risks, business or otherwise, lumping it together to the customer. Whereas the correct position is you accept the business risk, you manage it. Okay? How do you manage business risk? And what is a business risk? Let's say you have a ship coming from South Africa and you have paid for the cargo on that ship. The business risk is the ship sinking. Managing that risk is taking takaful or insurance. Another risk management you can do is you ensure that your ship do not pass the coast of Somalia. Because the Somalians love its ships. They will borrow things from the ship. So you find a route away from Somalia. That is business risk. That is managing business risk. But when you move goalposts and you lump every single risk, credit and business to that customer, that is a riba act, no matter what type of institution you call it. Why was I talking about risk? Yeah. The reason I'm talking about risk is banks. They will never give the money to the SME because it is a risky venture. But isn't Islamic muamalah about accepting risk? I have a formula which I hope to sell to the government. I've been very unsuccessful so far. Perhaps with the system of Brother Zahid. It's called solving the twin problem of nations. How to give money to SMEs and also to create employment. I tell the bankers, why can't you place unemployed graduates in the SMEs? Because if you ask them why you do not give money, lend money to the SME, they will say it's risk, very high risk. And then they will say that they don't have enough resources. They don't have enough staff. They don't have enough human resources to supervise their loans in the small companies. I give a lot of talks to unemployed graduates, BNB, scheme like they have in South Malaysia. But I tell them that the banks say they don't have staff to monitor the investment. Tears fall down. But what about us? We've not been with a job. We've been without a job for three years. Why can't they take us? And what was the bank saying? Expensive. Because you will need at least 30 to 40 officers per branch to manage your investments, your loans to the small companies. And the bank human resource manager said, I don't have the budget to pay for this 40 to 50 investment officers. The reason they don't have the budget is because they did not pay much attention to the problem. If they pay attention to the problem, there are solutions. The bank, instead of lending, can enter into a musharaka, equity, profit and loss sharing with the SME. And if they are worried that they cannot manage the SME, they can put the trained unemployed graduates managing this SME on their behalf. And if they say they can't pay these people, who said they have to pay? Can't they pay an allowance to the group, to these unemployed graduates, and get them on the profit and loss sharing relationship with the bank themselves? They're not motivated to think this way. In fact, they will never think this way because they have such an easy way of making money. The current system is so profitable. that they will not consider what we would like them to do. So this is what MMJ is all about. MMJ is about telling you about the problem, telling you about the issues, getting your support for you to spread the knowledge so that we become a critical mass. In my understanding of things, after so many years in the banking industry, things will never change unless the government wants to change. And the government will not change it unless the voters want it to be changed. So that's our strategy. Okay, I know that you are a university student, you are interested in solutions, so let me just, Professor, Mr. Akfa here. On the way.
The panel will speak.
Okay, all right. Just give me 10 minutes, Prof, talk about solutions. I know it's PhD guys that need solutions. So, the reason, I have not even thought why the unemployment, what is the 97%? The 97% is fractional reserve banking money. Okay. Do I need to explain fractional reserve banking? Okay, very quickly. If you have 1,000 ringgit and you place in Bank Islam, Bank Islam give you a checkbook. You believe you have 1,000 ringgit in Bank Islam for you to spend. Now, Bank Islam or whichever bank does not keep your money in a special vault for yourself. They will lend that money. They will lend that money to Hilmi, for example, all right? But they can't lend the entire amount. They have to put 100 ringgit in Bank Negara. They lend 900 ringgit to Hilmi. And Hilmi put it back in Bank Islam, and he holds a checkbook and ATM card. Again, Bank Islam does not have a special vault for Hilmi's money. Bank Islam will lend it to Justin, 810 ringgit. Now, each of us, the last time I explained to a group of first degree university students, they don't understand checkbooks. Let's talk about ATM cards. Now I have an, sorry, who did I say that to 1,000 ringgit now? Your name? The screenshot? I know. Okay. I know got an ATM card, believing that you can spend 1,000 ringgit. Hilmi got ATM card, believing that he can spend 900 ringgit. Justin got ATM card, believing that he can spend 810 ringgit. Yeah. Now, all three of you can go to any bank branch at the same time and take out cash. What was the original amount Ainun put in Bank Islam? 1,000. So how much money the bank has created out of thin air? 900 plus 810. Now, if you go through mathematically with a statutory reserve of 10%, 1,000 ringgit, the bank can create 9,000 ringgit of money out of thin air. Can you see? And if the money is 1 billion ringgit, the banking system can create 9 billion ringgit out of thin air. That is the 97%. And most of you will understand, if goods and services grow at this rate, and money supply goes at that rate, what happens? Inflation. That is the path of purchasing power, which we are addressing. Why the mud hand, the purchasing power of the mud hand is stolen by bankers. Alright, straight away to the solution. One of these solutions that we are proposing is a dual banking system. One, we need to create a bank which cannot do both at the same time. We do not want a bank who can take current account and lend. Because if they are able to do both, then they can get the money back and lend, get the money back and lend. That is the fractional reserve banking. So we need to split this two. Right? One banking system is just the payment system, like a debit card. They are not entitled to lend money. Their job is just to act like the debit card system. You are allowed to open an account with them mainly for the purpose of making payments. And they're not going to be very profitable because their fees are only transactional fees. On the other side would be what we call the real investment bank. And they will take investment, and once this investment is invested in the company, that money does not come back to them. See, you see how we're trying to defeat the fractional reserve banking formula. Yeah? That is just an example. If you are to look in the book which I've written, which is basically based on my thesis in UIA, at the back are the proposed pillars of the monetary system. And I hope that especially the research students here, or also the degree students, can look at the points made here, and this could be the subject of your thesis to develop further. As I said before, I and Professor Kamil is in charge of developing the model for the alternative Islamic monetary system, and we need assistance and ideas from you as well. And I have not even touched on the international system, the US, the Dec, which is the US dollar. Yeah, everybody knows that. The US dollar is the biggest fraud in the world. They print green pieces of paper, and we give them our palm oil, our rubber, our tea, our products. They get real product by printing green pieces of paper. President Obama used to print 200 billion US dollars per month. So that's how the talk will be when one day talks from then to half an hour. Is there any question before I hand over to Prof. Kamil? Okay, if there aren't, thank you very much. Oh, there is a question. Please give me your name.
My name is
Abdul Salam.
you're talking about the risk taking, the conventional banking and Islamic banking. Can banks in generally, Islamic or conventional, operate without risk or with? I mean, if they don't take risk, or if they take risk or risky business, can they operate? Can they get anything? Is it a practical this solution you propose?
You have two questions.
I haven't compared that.
Okay. So that's why I said we need to think out of the box. If we wish to maintain the bank as it is, then you will see problems. But what we are trying to say is there will be no banks in our system. There will be the payment banks that deals with the nation's payment system, and there will be the investment houses, Musyarakah investment houses. Now, Musyarakah investment houses will have all the stuff that you need to monitor the investment. But if you're thinking of maintaining the current structure, then all this things will, right? So the answer to you is yes. Yeah, Kuwait Finance House is one example, the one that's practicing in Kuwait itself. Tabung Haji. When I was in giving my first conference paper in 1996 in Dubai, I said to the audience there that the first Islamic bank in Malaysia is not Bank Islam Hajj. The first Islamic bank in Malaysia is an institution called Tabung Haji. Tabung Haji takes money in Sharia compliant way. It invests oil palm plantation, soap factory. It gives dividends to its shareholders. So there is no straight jacket in the definition of bank. If you want to follow the Rothschild bank, yes. Right? But the Islamic definition of a bank, do not have to follow the Rothschild structure. Right? An example of Islamic bank is Lembaga Tabungan. Does that answer your question?
Is that a bank? Is it a bank?
It can be an Islamic bank. It can be a new form of Islamic bank. We do not have to follow the current structure. We need to think out of the box. Okay? All right. Any more? Yes.
Alhamdulillah, there are people like yourselves trying to do something about it. I just have a few concerns. Whilst we're doing this very good organization, organizing ourselves for a solution, I was wondering whether we are up to the other agendas that the commercial, economic sectors are planning. I mean, I hear talks about cashless societies, and controls on capital controls, and various things that they can do and implement, and very quickly, depending on the political scenes and what emerges and so forth. So I was wondering whether the gestation period for your plan would take all these other threats into account.
And you are?
I'm Hafsa.
From?
I'm just a housewife.
Oh, what a housewife. Okay. I wish all housewives are intellectual. I don't tell my wife. Yes, that's a very good question. So when you ask a question like that, then we will reveal to you our strategy. So we don't believe in compartmentalized fighting. And anything Islamic, when you're fighting, it has to be shumo on all fronts. As we are doing the fight in the financial sector, technology sector, we should also be doing it on the other areas, government, in other words. So I need to say it's quite dangerous in this political environment. In other words, you can't achieve much if you don't hold the political power. In other words, all those that you mentioned are certainly on the minds of the people who's promoting the system. And we know Mr. Putin, we know BRICS, we know a lot of countries are aware of the international system. Even our own Dr. Mahathir tried the International Islamic Dinar. So these are the approaches that we will take to counter all these counter movements by the other side. Brother, last question.
When you are talking about the solution,
Why am I talking?
when you are talking about the solution, you provide one solution, it's sort of a investment bank and a debit sort of bank. But from your statement earlier, you said with this magazine, no reward, no risk, no reward.
Yeah.
You are now having a debit account where you just put your money. Is there any risk involved in such an account?
Okay. The payment system banks is to counter the question of what would happen if you were to remove banks. If you are to remove banks from the system, how are you going to affect the payment between companies, between individuals, between government and individuals, etc. So the payment system needs to be maintained, for sure. Right? So they are providing a service. They are not involved in lending or investing. And the investment houses I'm talking about are actually practicing sharp. We are proposing they are practicing sharp. Yeah. So this particular payment bank, they are not allowed to do lending or investing. Okay, right. Thank you very much. I'll hand over to Zahid.